What's going on with y'all? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Ball Sports Network. Thank you guys for the continued support. Like and subscribe to our videos. Now, The Last Dance had another pair of episodes on Sunday, and I learned so much every time I watch The Last Dance, and more than just about Michael Jordan and basketball, but also about the atmosphere and the aura of the 90s and of celebrities and the people that were working in basketball and sports during that time. Now, in one of the episodes that aired on Sunday, the famous Republicans Buy Sneakers 2 quote came up, right? The whole race between Jesse Helms and in the North Carolina Senate race, and Jordan, being asked to support the Democratic candidate, and he said, Republicans buy sneakers too. So here's a really quick thought on that. I had never I've always heard the stories about Michael Jordan and how a lot of black people during that time were pissed off at him for that. And I never actually heard Jordan say or speak about this, Republicans buy sneakers too. I just only heard, stories about it and read different stuff about it. But he actually came out and defended himself. And one thing I really appreciated about Michael Jordan during this entire documentary, while I get sidetracked really quick, is that he doesn't apologize for anything, right? He owns up to everything he did, whether it was the gambling, whether it was the Republicans buy sneakers, whether it's his dislike for the bad boy Pistons and Isaiah Thomas. He talks about it openly and honestly, and I respect him 1,000% for that. He garners even more respect than I had beforehand. Okay, so let's get back to the Republicans about sneakers too. So he's basically said, yeah, man, I said it. I said it as kind of like a joke or whatever. I didn't really think it was going to be ran with in the press, and he took a lot of heat for that. And here's my thing. I don't care if athletes, take a political stance. You don't have to, right? Like, that's not, you're not forced to, just like nobody's asking me for my political opinion. If nobody asks you for yours, or even if they do, you have the option, the right to talk about it or to not talk about it, right? Like, guys like LeBron James come out and definitely take a stance on whatever they believe in. Other guys like Michael Jordan have always been very reserved in what they talk about. So it doesn't matter what you talk about. But I saw a couple things on Twitter that really got me going, right? So I saw some different sports analysts and different people that work in the sports media business talk about how that part should have been left out of the documentary, or about how, see, Michael Jordan doesn't take political stances, so LeBron James or no athlete should take a political stance. You should just play ball. See, sports and politics should never cross, right? Like, they should never come in conjunction. And it's like, okay, so here's why it was very significant, why that part needed to be in the documentary. Once again, for both the older and newer generation. I'm 24, so therefore I wasn't alive in 1990 when that Senate race was going on, and when Michael Jordan put out when that statement first came out during the Senate race, right? So a lot of people, like I said, my dad or whoever, those people were upset with Michael Jordan about the stance that he took, right? Or the stance that he didn't take, just because they felt like it was very capitalistic, very corporate, very, don't want to piss off certain people, so he just stayed in the middle. Well, that's his choice, right? Like, he can do that. It doesn't matter. But the things that Jesse Helms stood for, no man should, no decent human being should be should be supporting that. Right? And it says enough that he actually won that Senate race, but that's neither here nor there. That's North Carolina in the 90s. It is what it is. But especially no black man should be in support of some of the racist bigotry that was going on with Jesse Helms during that time. It's just that simple. Whether Jordan knew about it or not. So Jordan came out and defended himself and said that I didn't know much about, I think the man's name was Gant. The last name was Gant, that he didn't know much about Mr. Gant, the Democratic nominee, who was also a black man. He didn't know much about Gant, so he didn't want to support somebody he didn't know much about. Okay, that's understandable. But you can do some research on Jesse Helms and know that ain't who you want to support. Because a no support is, just staying in the middle almost just gives Jesse Helms that little push that he might need. Michael Jordan didn't say nothing bad about me, when he probably should have, just when it said, hey, I don't know what's going on. I know Jesse Helms ain't a great guy. Like, some of his politics aren't right. Look up Jesse Helms. You'll know what I'm talking about. And for those that were alive during that time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jesse Helms was a racist. It's even documented in the documentary, in The Last Dance, that he was a racist. Right? So, you know, it is what it is. And you don't have to support Mr. Gant. But at the same time, that is something that maybe Jordan or somebody in his circle should have been like, yo, this Jesse Helms guy isn't that great. You know, he isn't that good. Now, here's the thing where I'm talking about where I get frustrated with the whole sports and politics shouldn't be intertwined, right? Because sports and politics are always intertwined, right? And it's because the athlete, we as an African American, as our demographic, we love our sports and entertainment, right? Like, we love our hip hop, our R&B artists, and we love our athletes. We love our basketball players, we love our football players, and everybody loves them. Like, they're so great at what they do that not just the black community, but everybody loves Michael Jordan. Everybody loves LeBron James. Everybody loves Beyonce. Everybody loves Drake. You know, it's not just limited to one type of person. And so when those people use their platform to speak out against what's wrong, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Let's just call it what it is. It forces a certain demographic who don't want to get into politics, you know, that don't watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, those people who just watch sports or just watch hip hop stuff, it makes them uncomfortable with the sad realities of America. And that's just what it is, right? So when people tell LeBron James or whoever to shut up and dribble, it's because you don't want them shedding light on what's happening in America to a group of people who may be clueless, right? So I don't care that Michael Jordan doesn't take a stance politically. That's his choice. He can do that. That's fine. But don't be mad that they incorporate a little bit, or be mad at LeBron James when he does, or be mad that they incorporate a segment in this documentary, or try to use Michael Jordan to say, see, no athlete should talk about politics, because it's not true. The ones who want to talk about politics should use their platform to show the killing of unarmed black men like Trayvon Martin, or police brutality, or mass incarceration. You know, guys like Colin Kaepernick, when you take and here's the thing. Here's why, and like I said, it's because it sheds light to a demographic who don't want to be around that stuff, right? Like, if I'm an NFL watcher and I just watch football, I want to see them go out there and tackle people, right? I don't want to see nobody taking a knee on the field and disrespecting the flag, right? But here's the thing. Why was Colin Kaepernick kneeing? It was because it was to take a stance against the killing of unarmed black men, right? See, when athletes take a political stance, and when athletes do something that we're not used to seeing them do, it makes America look in the mirror. And a lot of people don't like seeing that reflection. Think about it. This country was built on slavery. This country had Jim Crow. This country had segregation. This ain't something I'm making up. This is the truth. This country had separate but equal. You know, like and now we're in the age of police brutality and mass incarceration of black people. That ain't something I'm just making up. That's true. That's in the history books. That's the facts of the matter. And when LeBron James comes out and says he's in support of the Trayvon Martin family, or that he's on the side of Michael Brown and their family, it makes sports people and people that love sports uncomfortable, because it makes them face the sad reality of America. Oh, but we have Barack Obama, a black president, or we have billionaires like Oprah, or we love Michael Jordan. Yeah, those are outliers. The sad reality is most people in America, most black people in America still deal with a lot of things that stem from slavery and stem from racism. It's the truth. I'm reading this book called The New Jim Crow, and it really highlights a lot of these things, and it's like, wow, like I'm watching this Michael Jordan documentary, and I'm getting on the internet and social media, on Twitter, and seeing what they're talking about. These people want to just like act like this stuff never happened. And when an athlete speaks out, it's like the worst thing in the world. No, it's not. And I'm glad when guys like LeBron James, Chris Paul, Muhammad Ali, or whoever uses their platform to point out what's happening in America. It's the truth. Yes, we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. And that is why guys like Muhammad Ali or Jim Brown or whoever will always hold a certain, be on a certain pedestal a little higher than Michael Jordan. Now, as an athlete, it's hard to compare anybody to Michael Jordan, what he did as an athlete. But because he wasn't the activist that Ali was, just the way he is regarded in certain communities will never be the same. Will never be the same as an Ali, or never be the same to some people as a LeBron James. So so I'm gonna wrap this up by saying, like I said, when sports figures or even entertainment figures, but especially a sports demographic, I'm gonna really stick to that. When they open up and talk about politics and policies that aren't right or that are unjust, it makes a certain demographic of people, sports fans, uncomfortable because it forces them as Americans to look in the mirror. And they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see. They don't like the history of America, and they don't like what is happening in a lot of cases in America right now. And that's the sad reality. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Ball Sports Network. Thank you guys for watching. Continue to hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.